Hey, welcome to today's Code Review Explainer. I'm so pumped you're here. As you level up from just writing basic scripts to engineering actual, full-blown applications, nailing the fundamentals is absolutely crucial. So today, we're going to treat this like a real pair programming session. My job, as your senior dev, is to help you write completely rock-solid conditional statements. We're tackling JavaScript Booleans, which is literally one of the most powerful tools you're going to have in your coding tool belt.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the logic baseline, avoiding beginner syntax traps, the whole truthy and falsy quirk, and finally, real-world form validation.
Number 1, the logic baseline. Everything boils down to true or false.
Before we start writing any crazy complex algorithms, we got to remember that logic is the absolute foundation of every programming language out there, right? Especially JavaScript. So let's define the core concept here. A Boolean is a fundamental data type that represents one of exactly two values, true or false. But why do we actually care? Well, as developers, we use Booleans constantly to evaluate circumstances. Think about that login feature we built last week. The system had to check if the user provided the right password. If that check comes back false, boom, we deny entry and show an error. If it comes back true, we run a completely different block of code to let them in. It's essentially the ultimate gatekeeper for our apps.
Now, assigning a Boolean to a variable is just like passing any other value. Check this out. We have a variable called I like meat, and we set it to true. Then another variable is vegetarian, set to false. Super straightforward, right? You're basically just hard-coding the logical state of your application at a specific moment in time. All right, moving on to Section 2, avoiding beginner syntax traps. Rookie moves versus pro moves.
Look, we've all made this mistake when starting out. I definitely did. But spotting these early on is what really separates the juniors from the seniors. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. First, we've got the classic rookie mistake, wrapping the word true in quotation marks. If you use quotes, you're just passing a string. It's literally just text characters. You are entirely robbing it of its logical power. But then we have the pro move, using the reserved Boolean keyword true with absolutely no quotes. When you do that, JavaScript natively understands it as a logical state, not just some random word.
Now, we don't always manually type out true or false. Most of the time, Booleans are the result of comparison operators. Think about this quick evaluation. 7 is greater than 5. When JavaScript evaluates this logically, it's essentially asking itself, wait, is 7 actually greater than 5? It is, so it natively spits out the Boolean true. You're going to use these kinds of operators all the time to test the state of your data.
Oh man. Okay, the single equals sign error. I catch this in pull requests all the time. And I gotta be honest, it makes me groan every single time. When you write 7 equals 5 with just one equal sign, you aren't asking a logical question at all. You're actually telling JavaScript to assign the value of 5 to the number 7, which makes absolutely zero sense, right? It's just gonna throw a massive error in your console. When we want to check if two values actually match, we absolutely must use the double equals, like 7 equals 5, or honestly, ideally the triple equals for strict comparison. Just remember, the double equals asks a question, the single equals gives a command. Do not mix those up.
Up next, Section 3, the truthy and falsy quirk, JavaScript's gut feeling.
So, this is a very unique quirk in JavaScript, where it evaluates non-Boolean values as if they were Booleans. As a developer stepping up your game, this is absolutely a crucial concept you have to master to write clean, efficient code. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is that JavaScript actually has a built-in way to check the inherent truth of any expression. It uses the Boolean function, that's Boolean with a capital B. You pass an expression into those parentheses, and JavaScript basically gives you its gut feeling. It tells you whether that expression inherently feels true or inherently feels false, even if it's not strictly using the word true or false.
Let's walk through this cheat sheet together real quick, because you are definitely going to want to memorize this behavior. Notice that standard numbers, like 7, return true. Filled strings, like the word hello, well, those also return true because they actually contain something. But check out the bottom rows. The numbers 0, -0, and completely empty strings, those all evaluate to false. Basically, in JavaScript size, if a value has substance, it's generally truthy, but if it's completely empty or zeroed out, it's falsy.
Finally, Section 4, real-world form validation, putting logic into practice.
Okay, it's great to know all the theory, but let's move on and see how this builds into an actual feature you're going to code all the time.
Imagine a user's filling out a sign-up form on our site. Step 1. The user completely forgets to type their name and just leaves the field empty. Under the hood, that generates an empty string. Step 2. JavaScript evaluates that empty string. And as we literally just learned from our cheat sheet, an empty string is inherently falsy. Step 3. Because it evaluated to false, our code kicks in and triggers a prompt saying field required, instead of, submitting a totally blank name to our database. You are literally using JavaScript's truthy and falsy quirk right there to protect our production databases from junk data. It's awesome.
So, the crucial point is this. Booleans are your absolute logical building blocks. Always, always use the reserved keywords true or false without any quotes. Always use double or triple equals for comparison, never the single equals assignment operator. And remember your invisible falsy values, 0, -0, and empty strings. Nailing these concepts down right now means you are perfectly prepped for our upcoming tasks where we'll be building out some really complex if statements.
To wrap up our mentorship session today, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. What invisible, falsy values are hiding in your code right now? Think about the variables you've defined recently. Could an unexpected empty string or a stray zero be quietly breaking your logic? Go back to your editor, take a look at your current project through this brand new lens, and see what you find. Thanks so much for jumping into this explainer with me, and I'll catch you in our next code review.